Wilfried Nancy is the frontrunner for the managerial job at Celtic, and today we have some big news regarding him and the potential appointment. We will cover this in today's video, whilst of course going over all the latest Celtic news from the last 24 hours.
But first, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content.
Celtic will reportedly need to stump up as much as £2 million in compensation to bring Wilfried Nancy to Glasgow, a figure that underlines how highly Columbus Crew value their head coach and how serious the Celts are about making him their next manager. The talks have accelerated quickly over the past week. Dermot Desmond's early outreach, made shortly after Brendan Rodgers' abrupt departure, set the wheels in motion, but Celtic deliberately waited until Columbus's season came to a close before going formal. Now that the MLS campaign is done for Columbus, the door has opened properly and the pace has picked up dramatically. With Columbus granting permission for discussions and Celtic ready to meet the required fee, the picture is becoming clearer by the day. Nancy's contract in Ohio reportedly runs past 2026, which explains the sizable compensation package. MLS clubs hold strong contractual control over coaching staff, and Columbus have no desire to lose one of the most admired coaches in the league. The fact they are even willing to negotiate tells you two things. The compensation figure is substantial enough for them to listen, and Nancy himself appears open to the move. Sources close to the situation in the States suggest the Crew will not obstruct him if the deal suits all parties. From Celtic's perspective, the fee reflects more than just a managerial appointment. It's an investment in a footballing identity. Nancy has built his reputation on creating progressive, possession-based sides with clear patterns of play and high development ceilings for individual players. Columbus fans credit him with transforming their culture, their use of data, and their tactical sophistication. In other words, he represents the type of modern coach Celtic have been edging towards but never fully committed to. That is why Celtic are prepared to pay. Rodgers' exit highlighted long-standing issues behind the scenes, from recruitment gaps to structural weaknesses. If Celtic want a coach who can genuinely modernise the department, they need to empower him properly, and that begins with getting him in the door. £2 million might look steep at first glance, but for a club crying out for long-term stability and a coherent football vision, it's the kind of outlay that only seems expensive until the right man makes it work. One of the major components in the deal is Nancy's wish to bring elements of his own staff, including trusted assistant Kwame Ampadu. That will form part of the wider negotiation and could shape how Celtic restructure their coaching group. Decisions will also be needed around current figures like Sean Maloney and Stevie Woods, whose futures may hinge on how much freedom Nancy is given to build his team. Simply put, Celtic are close. Not over the line yet, but close. The money is significant, but so is the ambition behind it. If the talks go smoothly and Desmond gives the final push before the weekend, Celtic could have Nancy in place for the return to Premiership action against St Mirren. A £2 million spend might prove to be the start of a much bigger rebuild at Parkhead, and potentially the most important appointment the club has made in years. Now for the main story, as no team in Scotland can match the pressure that those inside Celtic face. If you are an outsider coming in or have little knowledge about Celtic, then you'd best be prepared for the searing heat that comes your way. That's what could be facing Celtic manager target Wilfried Nancy, who is the current frontrunner to replace Brendan Rodgers. But Richard Foster thinks Nancy isn't prepared for what is about to hit him, and there is a manager closer to home that the champions of Scotland should push for. Foster, speaking on Go Radio, believes it diminishes the Scottish game when a club the size of Celtic looks abroad for relatively inexperienced managers. There are two of our biggest clubs, and I think it diminishes our game a little bit when we are allowing relatively new and young managers to come in and be the head coach, said Foster. I don't think they are prepared for it. I don't think anyone can prepare you for what it's like to be at either Celtic or Rangers, with the intensity we spoke about the treatment Russell Martin got and how inappropriate most of it was. Foster pointed to other examples, noting that Danny Roll at 36 and Nancy, who has been managing for only 4 years in MLS, are operating in a completely different environment from Glasgow. I just think we diminish our game a little bit. I like the fact that we think outside of the box. We look beyond because you want top coaches, but at the same time, We need to promote our own coaches more. Celtic questioned for not considering St Mirren boss Stephen Robinson. Stephen Robinson has been linked with the Celtic job, having impressed at St Mirren with multiple top six finishes. Ironically, Celtic face St Mirren in the League Cup final at Hampden next month, but the two sides will also meet in the Premiership next week. Foster suggested Robinson deserves serious consideration and asked pointedly, what makes Wilfried Nancy better than Stephen Robinson? Is that not who Celtic play next? So, the team you play next have a manager who, with a massively reduced portion of your budget, continues to achieve success in Scotland with the top six and know how to play. What makes Wilfried Nancy a better prospect than Stephen Robinson? Apart from the fact that he is French, Foster ended by jokingly claiming Robinson as an honorary Scot due to his long tenure and success in the Scottish game. In other news, Celtic could appoint Wilfried Nancy as their next manager, and the Columbus Crew boss already has a transfer target in mind. Nancy is in talks to become the next Celtic manager following the resignation of Brendan Rodgers. With Martin O'Neill currently in charge of the team, O'Neill is happy to stay at Celtic, but the January transfer window will be key for the club following a lack of activity in the summer market. Celtic fans have protested against the board for what they believe was a lack of ambition from the club in the summer window. As per the Daily Record, 15th of November, Nancy could bring Diego Rossi to the club, with the forward also having hinted at wanting to return to Europe. Rossi has played for Fenerbahce in his only move outside of America or his native Uruguay, with the 27-year-old having earned 7 caps for his country. Speaking to the LA Times in 2021, former Arsenal forward Carlos Vela said he had no doubt Rossi, who was a teammate at LAFC, would go on to play in Europe. I have a great friendship with Diego. He is young, so I think I have to help him mature, Vela said 4 years ago. In my mind, I have no doubt that Diego will leave for Europe soon. I am trying to teach him what I have experienced, and he will go to Europe and have a career there. Diego Rossi's 2,025 stats for Columbus Crew, minutes played, 2,730 goals, 16 assists, 4 dribble success, 43.4%. Former Swansea boss Bob Bradley was also in awe of Rossi in 2018 after the Uruguayan had scored twice and assisted 3 times in a win for LAFC over RSL. Diego is such a good player to have on the field, to work with, Bradley said via MLS. He's deceptive, he's fast. Today again, he was coming from different positions, getting in on the attack. He's also unselfish on his end. Late in the game, he sees the better opportunity to play one across. Guys are trying to reward each other, and that is positive.
What do you think of what we discussed in today's video? Let us know down in the comments section below. Make sure you've liked this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.